Live from your 24-hour news source, this is a News Center 13 Olympic Newsbreak, brought to you by Far More.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
NBC has taken a break from its Olympic coverage so we can bring you up to date on the day's news. And our top story tonight, two Des Moines brothers facing child sexual abuse charges. One is a free man tonight.
The other remains behind bars in what police say is a very grotesque sex abuse case. Here are today's developments in this case. 55-year-old Theron Strait, seen here on the left side, has been released without having to pay bond. His brother, 49-year-old Robert Strait, remains in the Polk County Jail, charged with 4 counts of sex crimes, including sex with a minor. His bail has been set at $26,000. Theron is charged with 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. Again, he was released without paying bail.
Now, before we go any further, we want to warn you this is a graphic story that some may find offensive.
Authorities are asking for the public's help. Tonight, News Center 13's Kathy Saltero talked with one man who knew the suspects well.
I don't see either one of them being a bad person to society at all, because as far as I'm concerned, Robert Strait would run from a jackrabbit.
22-year-old Mike Field has known the Straits for at least 8 years. This morning, Robert and Theron Strait appeared in court. They're accused of participating in bizarre sex acts with young boys. Police say that both men had an obsession with human waste. Field says that obsession resulted in bizarre behavior.
10 minutes before this picture was taken, he got into one of those portalettes outside restroom, and it was tipped upside down by 2 of us. And he come jumping out of that like a jackrabbit, and I just lost control myself. I mean, I'm like, how can a man do this to his body?
Police confiscated numerous photos, pornographic magazines, and diaries detailing strange sex acts, some with juveniles, from the house where the brothers lived. Field says he and other teenage boys were offered money to defecate at Strait's home. He first met the Straits at age 14.
I didn't think it was a big deal myself because he's paying me to do this. Mm-hmm. You know, he's not touching me. If he was to ever touch me, you know, that would turn a lot of stuff around. I mean, I would have to make sure that he was put away for quite a while, because if he touched someone of age, I'm sure he'd touch someone underage.
In Des Moines, Kathy Saltero, News Center 13.
Now, authorities want to know whether other children were involved. If you have any information, you're asked to call police at the number you see on your screen, 283-4832.
Across the nation and right here in Des Moines, authorities and citizens are coming together to fight neighborhood crime. It's all part of National Night Out. News Center 13's Jim Strickland is standing by at Nollan Plaza where the festivities are underway. Jim, what's going on?
Well, John, this is the culmination of Des Moines' effort as part of National Night Out. Hundreds of people have gathered here as a show of unity against drug dealers and for their own neighborhoods. This is really a 3-pronged effort. The message is simple, that drug dealers and criminals do not belong in our neighborhoods. Several block parties and park parties have been held throughout the city, and as a final show of support, police are inviting everyone in the metro to leave their porch lights on all night long, just as a message to the criminals out there that they are being watched and that neighborhoods are binding together to fight them. Now, coming up tonight after the Olympics at 11 o'clock, we will profile one success story here in the city of Des Moines where police say the neighbors came together and succeeded in taking a bite out of crime.
Okay, thanks very much, Jim Strickland from Nollan Plaza. In other news from around our nation, heat and dry conditions fueling forest fires in several western states. Among the worst, a fast-moving blaze in southern Oregon that is threatening 150 homes. In Washington state, fires have laid waste to more than 4,000 acres, and in California, a 7,000-acre fire near Yosemite, nearly 75% contained. U.S. officials seized 2.5 tons of cocaine on a Colombian fishing boat. The boat signaled for help to a U.S. Navy destroyer after it broke down Saturday off the Central American coast. Navy officials became suspicious and called in a Coast Guard cutter. 9 men were arrested on drug charges. And the space shuttle's tethered satellite finally floating into space after several hours of delays. Payload Commander Jeff Hoffman jubilant as he told Mission Control that the satellite was drifting smoothly away from Atlantis.
The Monsanto company is selling one of Marshalltown's biggest employers. Fisher Controls International will be sold for nearly $1.3 billion to Emerson Electric. The plant in Marshalltown employs 2,000 workers. The plant makes control valves for major industries. No word on how or if operations will be affected. Another fall-like day in central Iowa, and the man taking the credit is meteorologist Gary Amble. He's standing by in the Weather Center with a look at the forecast. Gary?
Well, Kim, I suppose it's credit or blame, whichever way you want to put it, but right now it certainly feels like autumn outdoors. Let's take a peek across the city and stack up the numbers for you as they stand at this hour. Cloudy skies, 69 degrees, dew point temperature 54, humidity 59%, an east wind coming in at 9 miles per, and the barometer is falling at 30.09. And one reason why it's been like this is the jet stream. It has never really retreated into Canada, staying in kind of a spring-like pattern throughout the time, and a series of lows stacked up behind it will keep us somewhat on the moist side. And for the rest of tonight, you can expect this as far as the sky goes: increasing clouds, showers mainly across the southwest half, 58 degrees the overnight low, and then tomorrow mostly cloudy skies, maybe a few showers in the southwest part of Iowa in the morning, and then by afternoon hours we break out into sunshine, 77. Then tomorrow night partly cloudy and down to about 63 degrees. And hopefully by the weekend we can see temperatures back into the near summer-like 80s again, but really wouldn't count on it, John and Kim.
Okay, thanks very much, Gary. A lot of exciting Olympic coverage still to come here on TV 13.
We'll be back in an hour or so, then we'll be back for a full day's update at 11 o'clock.
We'll see you then. Have a good night.
From your 24-hour news source, this is a News Center 13 Olympic Newsbreak.
Theron and Robert Strait make their first court appearance. The Des Moines brothers are charged with many sex abuse crimes, some involving children. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. NBC has taken a break from its Olympic coverage so we can bring you up to date on the day's news.
Our top story: two Des Moines men charged in the city's most gruesome sex abuse investigation in 20 years. 49-year-old Robert Strait is charged with third-degree sexual abuse, sexual exploitation of a minor, and disseminating and exhibiting obscene material. His brother Theron charged with 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. He was released late this afternoon under a pretrial agreement.
The juvenile whose statement led to the Straits' arrest first spoke to police back in 1988, and he denied being abused.
As Jim Strickland tells us, that is no longer the case. A reminder now, because of the details of the story, viewer discretion is advised.
West Des Moines Police Sergeant Paul Barrows says the pictures were bizarre enough for the department to hold on to them even though they were found 4 years ago. 14 Polaroid photographs found laying on the side of the road. Most of them are fairly innocent, but not all of them.
One shows a man urinating. 2 others show an individual. One picture doesn't identify, doesn't show the face, but 2 pictures show an individual being urinated on.
There was this picture, a shot of a juvenile sitting on the toilet making an obscene gesture to the camera. He told police at the time the pictures were taken in 1986 when he was about 10 or 11.
He identified that the pictures of him were taken at the Strait residence, and he did not know the address, but he did identify it on East 7th Street in Des Moines.
At the time, the boy denied having been abused by the Straits and denied any knowledge of the urination depicted in the other Polaroids. But this is the same boy whose mother told Des Moines police about the Straits last week. Statements by the juvenile are now key pieces of evidence against the Straits. West Des Moines authorities say they couldn't file charges themselves because a picture of a boy on a toilet is not evidence of sexual abuse. Jim Strickland, News Center 13.
Police fear that several juveniles may have been victimized by the suspects. One man who knew the Straits during his teenage years contacted News Center 13. He tells us the 2 men are innocent.
I don't see either one of them being a bad person to society at all, because as far as I'm concerned, Robert Strait would run from a jackrabbit. This was taken in the Straits' backyard. It's when we used to work on cars all the time, and Bob would always help.
Live from your 24-hour news source, this is a News Center 13 Olympic Newsbreak.
Good evening. NBC's taking a break in its Olympic coverage. That gives us time to give you an update on the news. And our top story tonight: 2 Des Moines brothers facing child sexual abuse charges. One is a free man tonight.
The other remains behind bars in what police say is a very grotesque sex abuse case. Here are today's developments in the case. 55-year-old Theron Strait, seen here on the left side, has been released without having to pay bond. His brother, 49-year-old Robert Strait, remains in the Polk County Jail, charged with 4 counts of sex crimes, including sex with a minor. His bail has been set at $26,000. Theron is charged with 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. Again, he was released today without paying bond.
Taking a look now at news from around the nation and the world.
U.S. officials seized 2.5 tons of cocaine on a Colombian fishing boat. The boat signaled for help from a U.S. Navy destroyer after it broke down Saturday off the Central American coast. Navy officials then called for a Coast Guard cutter. 9 men were arrested. Violence erupted today at the funeral of 2 children killed by snipers in Bosnia Saturday. Today, mourners came under fire, injuring the grandmother of one of the toddlers. Good news and bad news for the Space Shuttle Atlantis. After almost a dozen tries, the astronauts have freed the plug on a retrievable satellite, but they stopped the release of the satellite when it began rocking back and forth.
Locally, all eyes are on the skies for a different reason. Gary Amble has that. Gary?
Well, John, a few showers were falling across western Iowa, but those showers are decreasing in intensity, and we may wake up to a shower, but all in all, we'll likely stay dry in Des Moines. Cloudy skies, 68 degrees right now. Dew point temperature 53, humidity 59%, winds are out of the east at 8, and the barometer holding steady, 30.09. There's another cool day in Iowa today, and in Des Moines, 74 for a high. We've gone 27 straight days of not reaching the normal high. The normal this time of the year should be about 86 degrees, and again, everyone in Iowa topping out only in the 70s. Jet stream, and it shows why. It's well to the south. Usually it should be way up into Canada by this time of the year, but we also have embedded within the jet a few upper level waves, each one of which could bring along with it a chance for showers. In our next 24 hours, we'll see most of our rain chances sliding to the southwest of us, but there is a chance for showers to persist, especially in the morning on Wednesday, across about the southwest half of the state. Forecast-wise, for the rest of tonight, we'll keep the skies as they are, cloudy. Showers mainly located in southwestern Iowa, down to 58. Tomorrow, though, mostly cloudy to start with, and again, a chance for scattered showers with a high of 77. But by late in the day, we break out into sunshine, and that'll carry over into tomorrow night, partly cloudy, 63. Our next real chance for rain comes along by the end of the week and Saturday, and at 11 o'clock, I'll have more on that.
All right, thanks, Gary. I'm not sure we want to hear about more rain.
We may not let him come back.
The first day of a new Des Moines recycling project didn't go exactly the way authorities had planned.
But day one also turned out the way that workers were planning on picking up garbage along city streets this morning. Very few residents had separated their plastics and put them in these special yellow bags. The program is voluntary at this point. Officials say it may become mandatory if enough residents don't participate. The plastics that were picked up were dropped off at the city's new $1 million facility. They were melted down to small pellets. The recycled plastic will now be sent to manufacturers who will use it to make new items.
NBC will continue its coverage in just a few minutes.
We'll be back at 11 with more news. One of the stories on tap, a Senate committee on U.S. POWs heard testimony today of a secret underground prison in Vietnam. The prison reportedly held U.S. POWs as late as the 1980s and was in the center of Hanoi. We'll have more on that tonight at 11.
Join us at 11 o'clock.
We'll see you then.